What if your AI assistant didn't just talk to you, but actually did your job for you? Imagine an AI that doesn't just answer your questions, but takes a vague idea, researches it, analyzes the data, builds a presentation, and drops the finished file on your desktop. This is no longer a distant dream from a science fiction movie. OpenAI has just unleashed a tool that could fundamentally change our relationship with technology, moving artificial intelligence from a passive conversationalist to an active, autonomous digital agent. This is the story of the new ChatGPT agent, a groundbreaking leap forward that can navigate the web, run code, and execute complex, multi-step tasks on your behalf. But as we stand on the cusp of this incredible revolution in productivity, we also stand at the edge of a precipice. This new power brings with it profound and terrifying new risks, from perfectly polished, professional-looking lies to insidious cyberattacks we've never seen before. So what exactly is this new AI, and how does it really work under the hood? Is this the beginning of the end for tedious digital work, or a Pandora's box that could shatter our trust in the digital world? And what does this all mean for the very future of the internet itself? Today, we pull back the curtain on the promise, the peril, and the path forward for the agentic AI that is set to redefine everything. You're going to want to hear this. The core idea behind the ChatGPT agent is a radical departure from everything we've known. For years, AI has been a tool you interact with. You ask a question, it gives an answer. You give a command, it generates text or an image. It was a call and response system. The ChatGPT agent shatters that paradigm. This is an AI that you delegate to. It's an executor. You can give it a complex, high-level goal, and it will autonomously work to achieve it. Think about the examples. You could ask it to analyze our top 3 competitors and create a slide deck summarizing their market strategy. Or something as personal as plan a 3-course meal for a dinner party, find a recipe that fits my dietary restrictions, and create a shopping list with ingredients I can order online. The agent doesn't just give you a list of links or a block of text. It takes action. It autonomously navigates websites, it clicks buttons, it fills out forms, it runs its own code to analyze data, and it delivers a finished, editable document. It's the difference between asking an assistant for directions and just telling them to drive you to your destination. Let's break down what that competitor analysis task would actually look like in practice, step by painstaking step, all happening in seconds. You give the command. First, the agent might decide the most efficient starting point is raw data. It fires up its text-based browser, a tool that sees the web not as a visual page, but as pure code, allowing it to parse massive amounts of text almost instantly. It queries multiple search engines for financial reports, press releases, and industry analyses related to your top 3 competitors. Within moments, it has downloaded dozens of documents. Now, the reasoning engine kicks in. It recognizes that some of these are PDFs, while others are raw web pages. It activates its data analysis tool, extracting key figures, revenue, profit margins, market share, from the structured reports. For the unstructured text from articles, it uses its summarization and synthesis capabilities to identify recurring themes and strategic initiatives mentioned by analysts. But it knows numbers aren't everything. It needs to understand marketing. So it switches to its visual browser, the one that sees websites just like we do. It navigates to the competitors' social media pages and official websites, analyzing the language, the visual branding, and the product promotions. It might even run a code snippet in its terminal to scrape public comments and gauge customer sentiment. All this disparate information, financial data, analyst opinions, marketing language, customer feedback, is now held within its virtual computer's memory. The final step is synthesis. The agent structures this mountain of information into a coherent narrative, identifies the most critical insights, generates charts and graphs to visualize the data, and builds a professional, editable slide deck, dropping the final file onto your desktop. A task that would take a human analyst days is completed in minutes. To make this possible, OpenAI had to give its agent its very own virtual computer. This isn't happening in your browser tab. It's operating within its own sandboxed digital environment, equipped with a powerful suite of tools. This is where the magic and the complexity truly begins. At its heart, the agent merges two previously separate, powerful capabilities into one seamless system. First, it has the web interaction skills of a tool designed to click, type, and navigate websites just like a human. Think of it as a ghostly user operating a browser. Second, it has the deep analytical power of a research tool that can synthesize vast amounts of information from across the web. By combining these, the ChatGPT agent can actively engage with a website to gather precise, specific information and then perform deep, complex analysis on that data within a single, unified process. It's a researcher and a doer, all in one. The toolbox it has at its disposal is seriously impressive. It includes a visual browser for navigating modern, complex graphical websites. For simpler tasks or text-heavy pages, it has a stripped-down, text-based browser for lightning-fast parsing. It has a command line terminal for running code. And crucially, it has API access through connectors for popular apps like Gmail and GitHub. This multi-tool approach is incredibly efficient. The agent can reason about a problem and choose the best tool for each step. It might use an API to instantly check your calendar, then switch to a text browser to quickly scrape a long document for keywords, and then fire up the visual browser to interact with a sophisticated web application that doesn't have an API. All of this work is done within its virtual machine, allowing it to maintain context and memory across different tools and steps. This isn't a completely novel idea. The Chinese AI startup Manus, for instance, has been providing similar agentic tools, but OpenAI's integration into its flagship product brings this power to a massive global audience. But with all this autonomous power, you might be wondering, who is actually in charge? OpenAI stresses that the user remains firmly in the driver's seat. As the agent works, an on-screen narration shows you exactly what it's thinking and doing in real time. It's like watching over the shoulder of a hyper-efficient human assistant. At any point, you can interrupt the task, you can pause it, you can even take over the browser yourself to log into a website or make a manual correction, and then hand control back to the agent. For any action with real-world consequences, like making a purchase or sending an email, the agent is hardwired to stop and explicitly ask for your permission before it proceeds. This human-in-the-loop design is critical because the way this agent works represents a monumental shift in workflow. Perhaps the most significant change is how interactive it is. With earlier models, you'd give a complex prompt and then wait, hoping it understood you correctly. If it made a mistake early on, the entire final output would be flawed. ChatGPT Agent transforms this into a fluid, organic collaboration. You can start with a broad, general idea for a task, and then refine your instructions on the fly as the agent works. It lifts the immense burden of having to perfectly define every single detail from the very beginning. This collaborative feel is reinforced by the agent itself, which will proactively stop and ask you for clarification if it encounters ambiguity or needs more direction. It feels less like commanding a machine and more like brainstorming with a partner. And this isn't just a fancy user interface. The agent's capabilities are backed by some seriously impressive performance on industry benchmarks. On a test called BrowseAMP, which measures an AI's ability to find hard-to-find information online, it set a new state-of-the-art score of 68.9%. On Spreadsheet Bench, a test of its data analysis skills, it dramatically outperformed existing models, scoring 45.5% compared to Copilot in Excel's 20%. It even achieved 27.4% accuracy on a benchmark called Frontier Math, which is widely considered the hardest known math test for AI. But let's put these numbers into context, because they are more than just scores. BrowseComp isn't a simple web search test. It challenges the AI with tasks requiring multi-step navigation and inference, like find the name of the lead actress in the second highest grossing film directed by the person who won the Best Director Oscar in 1999. The AI has to break that down, search for the Oscar winner, find their filmography, sort it by gross revenue, identify the second film, and then find its cast. Achieving a nearly 70% score here demonstrates a sophisticated capacity for planning and executing complex information retrieval missions. Similarly, Frontier Math is brutal. It's composed of problems from top-tier mathematics competitions, problems that often require creative insight and abstract reasoning that have long been considered exclusively human domains. A score of over 27% might not sound high, but in this arena, it's a breakthrough, signaling that the agent's logical and analytical capabilities are venturing into territory once thought impossible for machines. If the thought of an AI not just helping you with your work, but actually doing the tedious parts for you sounds like a future you want to be a part of, do me a favor and hit that like button. Because now, we need to talk about the dark side of this incredible power. While the ability to supervise the agent and jump into its environment is a crucial feature for today, we have to be honest, the ultimate goal here is greater autonomy. The current look-over-the-shoulder approach is a necessary but temporary stopgap. The real promise of this technology, the reason everyone is so excited, is its potential to free up our time and mental energy. An ideal agent wouldn't require our constant monitoring. It would operate independently, and more importantly, it would know when it needs to seek human input, if it gets stuck, or if its confidence in a particular step is low. Today's design is a practical step, but the path forward is towards less direct oversight. And this increased autonomy is what magnifies all the existing challenges of AI, particularly the problem of hallucinations, or the AI simply making things up. The danger is amplified enormously. As agents begin producing highly polished, professional-looking final outputs, like a complete presentation, a detailed financial model, or an in-depth report, it becomes dangerously easy to trust the results without question. Verifying the accuracy of a single AI-generated sentence is one thing. How do you possibly verify the accuracy of a 20-page report compiled from dozens of different web sources, complete with charts and graphs? For the average user, who is delegating a task precisely because they don't know the answer, this creates a terrifying problem. You could be acting on a beautifully crafted lie. Imagine this scenario. You're a founder of a small tech startup, preparing a pitch for a crucial round of venture capital funding. You task your agent with creating a market analysis to include in your pitch deck. The agent scours the web, pulling data from market research firms, industry blogs, and financial news sites. But in its synthesis, it makes a critical error. It misinterprets a regional growth projection as a global one. Or worse, it hallucinates a key statistic entirely to fill a gap in its data, creating a fantastically optimistic but completely false market size projection. The agent, designed to produce polished outputs, doesn't just give you a number. It builds a beautiful, convincing chart. It writes compelling text around it, weaving this fabricated data point into a coherent narrative of explosive growth. You, the user, are busy and trusting. The chart looks professional. The report reads well. You put it directly into your pitch deck. You present it to investors with confidence. You secure millions in funding based on a foundation of pure fiction. When the real market conditions fail to match the AI's beautiful lie, your company collapses, taking investor money with it. The agent didn't mean to lie, but the consequences are just as catastrophic. Security presents another, perhaps even greater hurdle. OpenAI has, of course, implemented safeguards. They've built defenses against prompt injection and require user confirmation for sensitive actions like payments. But new tools create new and more sophisticated threat vectors. Malicious actors will not stand still. They will inevitably develop complex, chained attacks specifically designed to exploit this new human-AI relationship. It's a two-stage attack that targets both the machine and its human overseer. Let's call this what it is, a form of digital social engineering, where the AI itself becomes the unwitting pawn. But the threats run even deeper. Consider the concept of data poisoning. A sophisticated malicious actor wouldn't need to attack you directly. Instead, they could play the long game. They could create dozens of fake expert blogs or subtly alter entries on public data repositories with slightly incorrect information. Over weeks or months, the AI agent, constantly learning from and scraping the web, would incorporate this poisoned data into its knowledge base. Its understanding of reality would be slowly, imperceptibly warped. Then, when you ask it to perform a critical task, like evaluating the security risk of a software vendor, Its recommendation would be based on this corrupted foundation.
It would confidently tell you a vulnerable piece of software is safe, not because it was tricked in that moment, but because its entire worldview had been quietly sabotaged over time. This is a far more insidious threat, one that undermines the very trust we place in the agent's access to ground truth on the web. Ultimately, powerful tools like the ChatGPT agent are not just an evolution, they are a stepping stone to a much deeper transformation of the entire web.
Right now, AI agents are learning to navigate a digital world that was built for humans. They are parsing our messy, visual, and often illogical user interfaces. The next great evolution will likely see the internet itself begin to adapt to accommodate both humans and AI agents. This could manifest as a new layer of the web with richer, more standardized APIs and machine-consumable endpoints for websites and applications. This would allow agents to interact with services directly and efficiently without having to awkwardly parse human-centric designs. This vision of a dual-purpose web has profound economic implications. Why would a company invest in building a parallel, agent-friendly version of their service? The answer is simple: to capture a new, massive market of AI-driven transactions. Imagine an e-commerce site creating a direct API for agents. Your personal shopping agent could then negotiate prices, find bundles, and execute purchases with an efficiency impossible for a human navigating a visual interface. The companies that build the best agent-native experiences will become the default choice for these autonomous systems, potentially cornering a gigantic new revenue stream. This could spark a whole new wave of innovation, creating businesses that don't even have a human-facing interface, existing purely to serve the growing economy of AI agents conducting business on behalf of their users. The race wouldn't just be for human eyeballs anymore, but for agent preference. We are at a pivotal moment. The ChatGPT agent is a monumental achievement, a tool that offers a tantalizing glimpse into a future of unprecedented productivity and convenience. But it is also a double-edged sword, one that brings with it profound challenges to our sense of trust, security, and reality. The question we must now ask ourselves is not just what we can do with this technology, but what this technology will do to us. Are we building the ultimate digital assistant, or are we architecting a future where we can no longer tell what's real? We'll be tracking every step of this AI revolution, breaking down the technology and its impact on our world. To make sure you don't miss our next deep dive, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification